we're going to be diving into some interesting topics, and while we do, I want each and every one of you to think about the most important questions that you want to ask our guests, so that we can have a very interactive and engaging panel. I want to start asking the same question to all panelists, and that is, what do you think is the most disruptive technology for your business or for your customers? What is the technology that keeps you up at night thinking about solutions, thinking about how to disrupt yourself or update yourself in order to better cope with transformation? And I want to start with Mihnea. Please tell us, how do you see this transformation coming? How is this shaping your business?
Hello, everyone. Well, transformation is a very big word. And when we are talking about digital transformation, it becomes an even bigger word these days. I'm coming from an industry, the telco industry, which basically, I would call it the foundation of digital transformation. Without it, basically, there is no digital transformation. We are providing the backbone, the infrastructure for that digital transformation to exist. There are certain disruptions within our industries as well. The telecom industry is not just a big bubble telecom industry. There's a lot of segmentation even within the telecom industry. For example, we can talk about mobile, we can talk about fixed services, the part where UPC is active in Romania. And if we are talking about disruptions, and if you want two, let's say just two items that could be extremely, or are already quite disruptive within our industry, I would refer to, first of all, the content part. As you know, UPC is one of the biggest distributors of video content. So basically, whatever you see on TV at home is being provided by a distributor, via cable, via fiber, and that is a big part of our business. We are collaborating with a lot of channels, content providers, entertainment channels, sports channels, news channels, etc. One of the biggest disruptions that actually started a few years back is within this content industry, and I'm mainly referring now to streaming services such as Netflix. If you follow the latest information, there's going to be quite a big segmentation and fragmentation in that part as well coming. Apple is going to launch a streaming service somewhere this autumn. It's going to be quite disruptive based on their power, the financial power that they have behind, with a lot of own production, a lot of money invested in that area. Another one is Disney. Disney is going to launch an alternative streaming service. They have a huge, let's say, content library, let's call it like that, behind them. So it's going to be quite disruptive for Netflixes and any such Hulus in the United States and so on. HBO. Why is that disruptive? Because it basically moves the habit of consuming video content from linear, what we call linear. So basically when you watch TV, you see whatever comes as a scheduling inside a channel, to a non-linear. Non-linear is basically everybody can choose what they want to watch whenever they want to watch.
And how is this affecting your business directly? I mean, is it reshaping your infrastructure? Is the demand for more bandwidth increasing? How is this?
It's a huge discussion, especially in the United States, on basically liberalization of internet. When you look at, so basically when we're providing the linear TV service to a customer, we are charging that customer a certain fee. Part of that fee is going to the content providers. And part of that fee is going to maintaining the network, investing in the network, making it more performant and so on. When you have, and on the other hand, we also provide internet as a service, which means that we invest quite a lot of money in the network. Now, when you have an OTT provider such as Netflix, which is 100% based on internet, and everything, all the content is being distributed via the internet without any restriction or with some restriction, they basically go around us. We have no longer any kind of, let's say, control over what content is being provided over the internet to the customer, which is very good for the customer. And although it started with the start was a bit bumpy, we are embracing that. And even on our more advanced set-top boxes and so on, we also have Netflix as a service. But on the other hand, these streaming services are consuming more and more bandwidth. They are unrestricted. There is an unrestricted bandwidth that is being consumed, which means that we have to invest more and more to be able to provide more and more bandwidth to our customers. Okay. And that's not a trivial amount of money. So that's one. So
we have streaming, we have more objects connected to the internet, right? When I think about Internet of Things, I'm thinking about a huge brain, you know, where all of our assets are connected, or all of our data is there. Our air conditioning is there, our washing machines are there, our cars and soon-to-be driverless cars will be there. I want to ask Barbara, do you feel that cybersecurity is ready to protect our assets in this global Internet of Things?
So when it comes to cybersecurity, like saying that you are prepared, it's like a little bit entering the comfort zone. So like you should never enter the comfort zone when it comes to cybersecurity, because like what is crucial and what we as the Institute are thinking is that like when it comes to cybersecurity, the most crucial thing is the proactive approach. So, and also with the Internet of Things, it is the case, because data says then that the majority of the things within the Internet of Things is not secure enough. Doing the business, you must anticipate and you must think a little bit forward, like what can happen, and anticipate it. Like you have to have the prepared solutions. And also what is very important within this area is that you have different components coming from different parts of world. And sometimes you do not know what vulnerabilities this component might have. So actually the issue is becoming more complex when you talk about the whole value chain. So like you have to look at the whole cycle of the product and also the whole life of the product and also the service.
But I want to ask you specifically, is AI and machine learning, is it more of a solution or more of a problem? So are you expecting to see robot hackers or more robot defenders?
I think both. So like when we are talking about AI, so the technology that is the general purpose technology, right? So when you look at the history, it's like this kind of technologies, they impacted the most our history and economies when we look at the past industrial revolutions. So now this is the case with AI. And I am strongly convinced, and this is repeated all the time, that technology is neutral. Right? So we can use it both for good and we can use both for bad things. But like in the cybersecurity community, you always have this thinking that bad guys are always one step before you. So, and also bad guys needs to be prepared only once, and good guys have to be prepared all the time.
Yeah. Okay. When it comes to capital, Mr. Sturza, would you say that it's more disrupted by cryptocurrencies, or is more disrupted by data? We are seeing that data is more and more valuable. The biggest companies on earth right now are driven by data. So what are your thoughts on the matter?
You know, honestly speaking, I'm not afraid about future of financial sector in general, because I strongly believe, as an old-fashioned guy from old economical schools, I strongly believe in needs of regulation, especially on the role of central banks and the emission as an emission center or as a center of you know, balance currency, which is our main you know, assets when we speak about creation of additional value in economical activity. Of course, banks needs to be less arrogant and to understand the role of the banks changed a lot in the last decades, and they become more utilities public service than high-level profitable profit centers. Of course, new technology will impact financial sector, and especially in this direct lending, peer-to-peer, and a lot of other technology, which will be created economy of scales and will reduce dramatically cost of transaction, and also at the same time will allow the you know, provider of capital to be in touch with, you know, customers or lenders. But what I also believe, banks now become more active. They understand something it's happened. You need to react, and will happen the same will happened in the automotive industry. If you remember 10 years or 7 years ago, just Tesla produced electrical cars. The classical companies was, you know, in expectations. They are not believed. They are try to challenge these new technologies. They are now in the front runners, and I'm afraid about future of Tesla and less about, you know, classical companies which are now launch a lot of projects and a lot of brilliant models of electrical cars. I hope the same will happen in financial sectors, banks with the capital, with a relatively well-educated staff will be capable to challenge this situation, and I'm not so excited about these all ideas of pure fintechs or some basement or under-basement companies. Also, I'm not so excited about cryptocurrencies, which is for me, it's Holland, you know, like tulip in Holland. It's a mystification.
Bubble. You're saying it's a bubble.
It's a bubble. It's a mystification, and the life will prove this. I'm not encouraged at all people to follow or to invest in this instrument, but I strongly believe in blockchain, like most of you. And this is not because it's a technology which is, from my point of view, it's a similar invention of internet, which will be was a previous speaker, keynote speaker, have several points about financial system. It's a transparency. It's a more direct interaction between people, technology.
But do you see blockchain also shaping business models, shaping the economy, driving it somewhere else?
No, not fundamentally, because this is just instrument. It's technology.
But fire brought us where we are here from, you know.
It will be much faster, much more transparent, much more secure. These technologies still face some challenges like security and speed, but it's just matter of time.
Okay, because you mentioned security, I want to switch back to Barbara and ask: Is blockchain actually a solution for securing our value, or is it more of a problem? Does it solve more problems that it introduces, or is it vice versa?
So I think the question would be the same, that we have always both sides of the coin. So from the one side, the blockchain that allows us to delete this intermediary between two parts of the transactions, and instead of this intermediary that not always is the trusted intermediary, that we have the algorithm that we trust because it's the mathematics and it works. So from one side, it is the tool that enables the trust, and the two sides of the transactions might be sure that the value is exchanging.
But the system is more secure, but the vulnerability of the entire system shifts onto the mobile device of the user accessing the blockchain, right? So
yes, of course, and also you have the provider of the blockchain has to be the trusted institution as well, because everyone can create a blockchain, put there anything he or she wants, and it will work. So once we have the blockchain that, because it's very technical question as well, and you have also other weak points of the blockchain, which is, for example, the computational power, and there are things when it comes to cybersecurity, like, for example, double spending. So these are the questions that might arise when the blockchain is not well structured and not well programmed. So, and also you can use blockchain in other bad ways, like, for example, I'm sure you heard of the cryptojacking, which is the crypto mining in the browsers when users are not aware of. So now all browsers are patched when it comes to cryptojacking, but I think last year it was the very big deal when it comes to the cryptojacking. So of course there are weak points, but ones we are aware of, and we are actually trying to find solutions. I'm also the big supporter of the blockchain technology, and I think it will enable a lot of amazing things in the future.
So the more data we use, and the more we use the internet, the more decentralized it becomes, and the greater speeds we need. And I want to switch back to Mihnea and ask, how is 5G gonna shape the future of the internet?
Again, I think 5G, I'm not the biggest expert in mobile, yeah, so, but what I'm saying, what I want to say is that 5G is yet another step of increasing mobility. It's basically a technology that exists, that, by the way, can actually be implemented as we speak on the frequencies that the mobile providers already have.
But because of those frequencies, the infrastructure, topology of the network is radically different than what we have today with 3G and 4G.
Correct, but the technology itself exists and could be, to a certain degree, implemented as of today. Now, the costs of implementation of this new technology is not trivial. What is very different in the, let's call it 5G networks compared to the 4G networks or 3G plus or whatever that exist now is the density of antennas. Because to be able to reach these levels of speeds and capacity, to be carrying capacities to the level that 5G's promise, they really need to have a lot of antennas compared to what happens today.
So we're going to be seeing a lot of antennas for each operator, and if you multiply that by 4 or 5 operators, then we're going to see a lot of antennas.
I think in terms of cost, if you think of the cost of implementation by each network provider, individual, that might prove to be a big challenge.
Is it possible that they would share infrastructure?
They are sharing as of today. Even the 3G, 4G networks are being shared. The sites, the antenna sites, it's not just an antenna, it's more than that in each site, are being shared not only in Romania, everywhere, simply because the cost of maintaining the entire network and the initial investment is extremely high. Now, if you look around in many European countries where they already started the 5G licensing for the new spectrum and so on, only the licensing fees reach astronomical figures, which only adds to the cost of the technology deployment per se, which will add to where? Because the prices that exist right now in the market, so what we call in the industry ARPU, are already quite low, and fundamentally it's difficult to sustain with this low ARPU the level of investment.
So technologically we are ready, but financially maybe not as much.
I'm not saying we're not ready or that the industry is not ready, but it depends on so many things, including the way the authorities, you know, the governments are going to approach and regulate this area. Because, again, a business case can be modeled in many ways. It can make sense in volumes, it can make sense in prices, etc., in a certain amount of time. There is one more aspect that that people are not really discussing frequently, and if you look at the mobile technologies, and not only in the entire telecom industry, the life cycle of a certain technology has shortened significantly from one launch to another. Mm-hmm. Which means that the interval in which you can actually depreciate the initial investment is much shorter.
Well. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm sorry to stop you short. We are out of time. And before concluding, I want to direct my attention to the public and see if we have any questions from you. Please don't be shy, raise your hand so we can deliver a mic to you. Okay, so if there are no questions, I want to thank you all for your attention, and I want to thank our wonderful panelists for being here, and have a nice day and excellent forum.